Thank you, Chairman Levin and Ranking Member Camp, for the opportunity to address this committee on this very important issue. I am here today to help put a face on the human toll that China's unfair currency policy has on U.S. businesses and workers. The United States manufacturing is the foundation of America's economic strength and our national security. But for decades, policies like NAFTA encouraged the shipping of these jobs overseas. American workers are playing a rigged game against foreign competitors who are not held to U.S. standards and who receive substantial support from their host countries. As this happens year after year, Congress continues to do nothing. Of all the unfair trade practices driving the loss of jobs in my district in the Midwest, China's currency policy is among the worst. By artificially undervaluing its currency, the Chinese government subsidizes all Chinese exports 25 to 40% and places an equivalent of a 25 to 40% tax on imports of goods made here in the U.S. The policy directly resulted in the loss of between 1.5 and 3 million American manufacturing jobs, while our trade deficit with China has grown to over $220 billion a year. Enough is enough. America must embrace a policy where we grow it, build it, and assemble it here in our country. Let's make it in America again. We cannot continue these policies in the face of such a direct attack on our communities and our way of life. As I travel throughout my district, it is a stark reminder where we are losing more jobs. The rapid erosion of manufacturing jobs is causing the middle class in hundreds of communities to disappear, as well as threatening our national security. In North Canton, Ohio, the Hoover Company was forced to send 3,200 jobs in my district to other countries. The empty factory there reminds our shrinking middle class how they lost their jobs through no fault of their own. The city of Canton also lost hundreds of jobs when Hercules Engine Company decided to move out of America and manufacture elsewhere. Since I took office, workers from at least 8 companies in my district, including employees at IAC in Canton, LLC in Canton, ASC Industries in North Canton, and PCC Airfoils and Kelly Services in Minerva, qualified for trade adjustment assistance. This is happening all over Ohio and America. According to the Economic Policy Institute, 2.4 million jobs were lost or displaced between 2001 and 2008 due to growing trade deficits. Ohio lost over 91,000 jobs due to trade deficits with China alone, and in total lost over 183 manufacturing jobs since 2005. We don't have to stand by and watch our jobs go overseas. We have trade laws on the books and in Congress to ensure fair, honest trade benefiting U.S. manufacturing. For example, President Obama's enforcement of trade laws in the rubber industry actually led to an increase in domestic employment and tire production. Since we began taking aggressive action against dumping, U.S. tire manufacturers production rose over 15%, or by more than 10 million tires. As a result, nearly 500 new workers were hired in the industry, and overtime increased 20% in Goodyear plants and 15% in Michelin plants. This is not a partisan issue. Both business and labor, Democrats and Republicans, should support taking strong action to make sure American exporters play on an even field with the rest of the world. The Chinese people, while we have the utmost respect for them, the government, and their culture, they, the Brazilians and the Indonesians, are not looking out for our interests. We must adopt policies that are fair to American workers and American businesses. We need to take the same aggressive approach to currency manipulation we use to fight against dumping and other unfair trade practices. I am currently one of the 133 bipartisan co-sponsors of H.R. 2378, the Currency Reform and Trade Act, which would direct the U.S. Department of Commerce to treat currency undervaluation as a prohibited subsidy. This legislation is designed to be consistent with our obligations under the WTO and is a perfect example of the type of action we need to force China to play by the same rules as U.S. businesses. We need to begin aggressively enforcing existing U.S. trade policies before there is no manufacturing left here in our country. If we grow it, build it, or assemble it here in America, America is always stronger. As Chairman Levin himself said in announcing this hearing, there is no real question that China deliberately undervalues its exchange rate, and it's unfair and contributes to the global trade imbalances and costs the U.S. jobs and economic growth particularly in the manufacturing sector. China is protecting their country, and we must protect ours. Let's make it in America. Let's protect free markets to interact fairly, but let's always remember that we must protect American workers and businesses. When the Chinese currency floats, trade is fairer for all countries. We have the power today to break the destructive cycle. I urge this committee and Congress to take action to protect our nation's economic future and the livelihood of millions of middle-class families. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Camp.